Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast from your host, Imperial Dane. We'll be having a 1 versus 1 right here in Holotny Ferma. Yes, indeed, Holotny Ferma. We shall be looking at here Pwnagemachine fighting for the Soviet Union, and the 25th Guards Tank Corps going up against Diancecht. We'll just call him Heinz because I'm absolutely no idea how that's supposed to pronounce. And rather played safe, fighting for Deutschland, fighting for the 10th Panzer Division. We're seeing Grenadiers on survey, moving ahead right there. Points are being secured. Conscripts moving up as well. Doctrines for Heinz here is Jägerarme, Blitzkrieg and Assault Support versus Pwnagemachine's Guard Motor, Conscript Support and Shock Rifle Frontline Tactics. And we're all noting here several conscripts on the way as well, so far pretty standard stuff, nothing vastly surprising or out of the ordinary so far. Although, I mean, note usually you'd actually see additional machine guns or something else after the first two Grenadier squads, but again, you know, some players like to do something slightly different. We are seeing barbed wire going up here. Wunderbar. Here to deny a cover to the Soviets. Ja, Heinz, let's put down that barbed wire. Conscripts moving ahead pretty aggressively. In fact, we're seeing, and we'll just call him Popovich because I really find that is an absolutely bollocks name. So we'll just call him Popovich, which sounds Soviet and also starts with a P. But moving ahead then very aggressively. In fact, he's spotting right here that Heinz here has left his centre quite on guard, and he's taking advantage of it, rolling in with the conscripts, catching Heinz here off guard. Pioneers being engaged by conscripts up here. We're seeing a second Pioneer squad on the way. Interesting enough right here from Heinz. More conscripts rushing in. The Grenadiers squad doing what they can here. Additional Grenadiers looks like they are moving in here for Heinz. One squad up here trying to secure the fuel point, but we'll be a bit delayed. In fact, noting here that Heinz first made a fuel move for the munitions, not the fuel. Pioneers here need to retreat. It looks like Heinz is a bit more occupied with the major assault going on here in his rear, completely off guard. They're very ballsy play right there from Popovich. Pioneers here forced away, but they might get cut down on the retreat. Additional conscripts are rushing in swiftly and boldly. And right there, trying to cut off here, but not quite having success. The additional grenades moving in after they've secured the fuel point in the Nemesis Vaterlanders. And the Pioneers were cut down there. Popovich got the kill, but he lost a conscript squad in return. That is definitely not quite the payoff you're looking for. Bit of a trade-off there, certainly so far, in the favour of the fatherland. Fuel is secured here. Bloody action already within the first 3 minutes. Entire units wiped out, many men left wounded in the grass.
Einsatzbereit. We claimed it for the fatherland.
Moving up for the center.
Pioneer squad.
And then we're seeing an additional Pioneer squad, so it's getting rather obvious here that Heinz is rather counting on having numerous Pioneer squads for some sort of unknown, heinous purpose or something else. Grenadiers moving ahead here, leading this way with the more healthy and numerous squad, the one less strong, moving up to support, finding a bit more firepower that way. Not bad, thinking they'll go right here. I think he might be exposing his Grenadiers to a bit too much fire from Popovich's conscripts. Points up there is being secured by some plucky Grenadiers. The Pioneers moving up. He could right now consider upgrading with a Flammenwerfer. Es werft die Flammen. Right here, Grenadiers have taken some brutal losses, but the additional Grenadiers are now slow turning things around. Can they do it? No. Forced retreat. Very violent engagement going on here. Pioneers being engaged by combat engineers. Grenadiers are going to get pushed away very quickly. He could consider upgrading one Grenadier squad with a lighter machine and gewehr. That would definitely give him a slight advantage early on, but no, instead we're seeing a Flammenwerfer going up with some Pioneers, while some other Pioneers burst into flames. Completely unrelated to the upgrade, because some other combat engineers had some flamethrowers themselves. It's already pushed back pretty heavily, going for the northern part so far. Heinz is holding most of the map compared to Popovich, and Popovich again foraging ahead, going straight for the cutoff point here. Very aggressive play. I mean, these clearly are not novices.
We are ready for action.
These are clearly hardened psychopaths.
Lines of supply are
Possibly.
disrupted.
Or at least just psychopaths without the hardened on them. Or possibly just veterans. Either way, definitely some ballsy, confident play going on here.
Grenadiers here! Pioneers awaiting orders.
Conscripts are being engaged by several Grenadier squads. Men are being lost. And reinforcing the fight right here with additional countries, going to do his best to basically delay the fuel income for Heinz, and Heinz at the same time conducting the exact same move, knowing perhaps there's nothing here then. Oh, good lord, another unit. Oh, I thought it was just wiped out, but the minimap just had them too close. That was actually brutal if Mr. Popovich had lost another squad of his mighty conscripts. But so far, I mean, again, brutal, vicious, aggressive, head-on. Pioneers begin to flank. You might see another squad wiped out. No. Yuri there makes it. But now the fire is on. Literally. The conscripts. Will they escape? Run, Boris, run! But not too fast. You don't want to look like you're deserting. And we're seeing a support wing company going up. We're seeing a Maxim rolling up here for Popovich. And we're noting a light mechanized company is up for Heinz. Points are being secured. Pioneers ready to lead a counter-attack. Bit of a dangerous way of doing it. There's nothing to support them, so they are going to be very quick targets. But again, looks like he's counting on the Grenadiers being a target, allowing the Pioneers to flank in. But immediately bursting into flames themselves from the combat engineers. Not so much rushing into a flamethrower. Now he's actually getting awfully close, and there you go. This is not really working out. Heinz is forcing his Pioneers to a sweep. Grenadiers still continuing here. They did have the advantage against the charging conscripts, and right there have gained things, but now the communists are moving in, and that, there we go, results in Heinz pulling back the squad. Not going to waste men on that. Good thinking. Good thinking. Panzer up there, cannon on the way. Scouts are going to follow up here. And mine's going down there. Lovely, lovely. He's had enough of aggressive moves down here, so he's going to mine that spot. Good thinking. And we're actually seeing Blitzkrieg Doctrine chosen. Blitzkrieg, one of the 3 doctrines. Added in the... No, not in the turning point up. The one before that. The Case Blue update.
What do you need? Pioneers ready for anything.
Panzer reconnaissance, tactical movement, the Befehlspanzer, and a Stuka Kanonenvogel run, which, by the way, also receives some buffs in the turning point update. It now actually shoots more and does more damage. And there we go, like the punch speedbarking out. Bunker up. Aggressive play with the Maxim from Popovich here, using it to capture ground.
We have a full squad.
Points down south being secured.
You have orders.
And moving up here to engage the Grenadier. Lighting them on fire. And there we go, burning them away. Not quite good engagement here for Heinz, despite rifle grenading. In fact, a bit slow there. Rifle grenades not really good for close quarters combat, sadly.
We are losing a sector.
Didn't quite work out there.
Scout car ready. Small arms fire.
Scout car here might be able to get the drop on the Maxim. Munitions falling, and there we go. Actually noting he's putting down trip wire flare mines. Good use of veterans abilities there, and there we go. Maxim engaged, mine went off, almost wiping the Pioneers, and shock troops here indicating shock. Rifle front line tactics for Popovich. Adding in the hardened shock troopers, comrades.
Grenadiers. You need something built? You guys, our opponents are seizing a sector.
Grenadiers quickly engaged, and there we go, getting into the building. Of course, they might get a bit of a surprise once the Pioneers round the corner with their flamethrower. And there we go, mine went off, in this case not killing anyone, but still, you know, giving extra line of sight. And there we go, conscripts forced to vacate the premises as fire goes in the windows. And the Pioneers quick to occupy the building and get the drop on the conscripts in return. They're not quite succeeding. And we're actually seeing that Heinz is next going for the sniper, the Scharfschütze. Conscripts running straight into additional Grenadiers, not looking good there. Might he try to vault over? No. Instead, we see retreat. The scout car is not quite there to pursue. That's a bit of a shame, though. I mean, a scout car is actually an excellent tool to wipe out a retreating squad like that. And in fact, that's one of my favourite personal uses of the 221 or the 222. So that, of course, is a little tip to keep in mind. Ooh, how do you get out a bit more? He might actually been able to lower the scout grenade for a bit of a surprise anti-tank grenade. Not quite so. Instead, he just forces it back by getting into the building, ensuring the scout car can do nothing. But Heinz pushing on very aggressively. He could consider commanding this spot up here with some S-mines. I think that would be a nice little trick. Also noting here, an immediate move on for the tank battalion command. Only 10 minutes in past, but already Popovich there going straight for the tanks to defeat the fascists. And then got T-34 is rolling out. Max moving up here, going to need a quick rifle grenade. In fact, a rifle grenade right here, considering how close they all are to each other. Yes, comrades, we have safety in numbers and proximity, nor even against explosives. Would the explosives be more effective? Shut up, Yuri! Look, now you're dead because you have to point out the obvious. Have faith in the motherland, and the motherland will protect you, I think.
We have a new T-34 standing by. We are bleeding!
Oh, shock troops are engaging the Pack 40. Bit of a mistake there. Heinz had left it unguarded. The shock troops are clearing it out. Not getting this engaged down here. Scout car moving in. Trying to be careful to get the beat too close. Shock troopers. Oh, they're recruiting it. They're recruiting. No, don't, Heinz, don't. I don't think he'd expected them to recruit it. It's rare to see that aggressive recruiting of an anti-tank, and in particular using shock troopers. But it can work, and oh dear, Popovich here's definitely got some big brass balls on him. And now Heinz is without anti-tank defenses. His opponent stole his anti-tank, and now he's got the tank as well. This is quickly turning ugly for the 10th Panzer Division. We are seeing mine troops, though. Good preparation reaction there, but it's going to need to retreat. They're going to get wiped out. Heinz, don't, Heinz, nine. And in the end, he ended up cancelling and still got wiped out. That was just a bit unfortunate there. Snipers adding in what they can here. A nice way actually of dealing with the shock troopers. And again, I mean, they ignore body armor and, well, certainly can do a bit nicely there. Now, of course, there are bigger problems abound. There's a T-34, the sniper. No matter how much you think himself an ace, can't really deal with that.
Soldiers ready. Shock troops here.
Not unless he gets a much, much bigger rifle. Then he might have a slight chance. And Soviet snipers themselves are actually quite fond of using anti-tank rifles, I believe, for different purposes, including clearing out bunkers. There we go, another pack arriving. A bit unfortunate, though, he ended up handing over one. And note here, though, actually, I mean, depending on the troops you use, reinforcement costs will actually also go up. So in this case, it's paying more for shock troopers as the crew for the pack. But on the other hand, I mean, it's a pack that's going to be very tricky for infantry to deal with, because it's still going to have 3 shock troopers, at, well, 4 actually, at all times guarding it, once fully reinforced. So that is something to keep in mind as well. And now he's adding in one of his own field guns. But, you know, depending on what you crew a weapon with, I mean, you do get some different effects in terms of, you know, survivability. So that's also something to consider there, ladies and gentlemen. T-34 sitting up for flank pack, though it's actually ready to cover that approach. And rushing straight within Grenadier range. Dangerous stuff there, Popovich. And Panzerfaust connects, damaging the engine, took heavy damage from the Panzer. They can own a Maxim in the house. Maxim in the house? No, yeah, that doesn't work. But you get the point anyways.
Waiting for your command.
Trying to get away there. And we're noting a mortar up. Looks like he's going to blast his way through Popovich's front lines. Flamethrowers moving up. Snipers need to be a bit careful here, and conscripts might be trying to rush it. Nice thinking there from Popovich.
Enemy contact! You have orders? Standing by. How can we help? T-34 ready.
More Maxim fire, Grenadiers running into a bit of problem. Veterans 1-4 on the Maxim. Sniper needs to continue to be careful. 4-6. 4-6. A spotted sniper is a dead sniper, in particular if he's too close to the enemy. Mortar continues though to bounce away. That's some serious balls. And goes up to save the day. KV-8 now available, by the way. He's getting close, for example, to an IS-2, if that is actually what he plans to go for.
You have orders?
Interesting enough, he didn't get the last crew member for the Pak-40. I would have figured that. But certainly made it again harder to deal with for the enemy.
Return fire!
So a bit of downtime here. No signs of getting any armor here for Heinz. Tellermine's going out to protect against the flank from that angle. Lovely. Good thinking. Mines here and here would also be a good spot. And we can regain this area. Our mines around here are also a good bet. But so far he's realizing now most of his forces are up here. He's going to have a much guarded and watched underbelly right here. So initially that seems where he's focusing his Tellermine attention on. And that is certainly good thinking. So at least, if something happens, then he has time to react. We're seeing an additional Panzerabwehrkanone on the way. Troops reinforcing. Might there be another tank on the way? Or is he really going to be going for the IS-2? The Josef Stalin 2?
What do you need? Your predecessor died. Our territory is falling into enemy hands. Ready. Awaiting orders. T-34 reporting. What do you want?
Then he's quickly pulling back. Shock troops leading the way. Conscripts following up. T-34 a bit damaged here. Sniper providing support from a safe distance. Quickly getting off a good shot down the shock troopers. Can get veterans one. I mean, it's going to be really nasty for infantry. And there go. Conscripts might be rushing in. Sniper needs to retreat now. Careful, Heinz. You're getting too cocky. Mortar doing what he can, but will be limited. And there we go. Sniper down. A gamble that did not pay off right there. He should have just retreated as soon as he saw those conscripts rushing in with an hoorah. And what is this? A Befehlspanzer IV has arrived. Germans are certainly fond of using command tanks, although it was not uncommon to see older tanks being used for that purpose, like a Panzer IV or a Panzer III.
Orders?
For example, some of the SS Panzer divisions in Normandy used several Panzer IIIs as command tanks for their Panzer units. There we go, opening up, and the conscripts getting off a nice hit. We might see another squad wiped out, and there we go. High explosive shell did the job. Befehlspanzer leads the way, although with no tanks to actually command.
AT gun here.
But he can still shout at the infantry. Schnell! Schnell! Move like you think you're panzers, or at least a bit faster.
The enemy is taking what we have secured.
Also, why am I looking at my base? Packs here covering the central approach. T-34 moving in, and there we go. Nope, gunners were too busy shooting at the infantry. The third Panzer moving up, noting a veteran to 3 grenadiers. And field gun opening up. That's going to make things a bit dangerous here, though he has gone blitzkrieg, so smoke is an option. Nebel. Remember to use Panther Tactician. It is an ability worth its weight in gold. Tellermine there as well.
AT gun ready.
Maxim in the church.
Anti-personnel fire ready and willing.
Mortar rounds continue to fly. Befehlspanzer going to need some repairs. Grenadiers moving in. Interesting enough, no upgrades for Grenadiers whatsoever. Not a single lightest machining gewehr. I'm a bit surprised at that. Just a bit. And we go leading up the assault here. Grenadiers a bit exposed. Pack moving in as well. So that pretty much a big no-no for Heinz to move in his Befehlspanzer at all. Assault moving in there. Grenadiers conscript taking up position there. Infantry getting caught off guard. Definitely dangerous play. There we go. Befehlspanzer flanking in, going to try and deal with the infantry. Getting off a nice hit there with its high explosive shells on its lower velocity gun. And that is a little fun fact about guns and the length of them. The higher, the longer the barrel, the higher velocity, but it also means there's less high explosive power in the high explosive shells, due to the fact that at higher velocities they need a thicker shell, otherwise they'll basically fall apart in the air due to the higher velocities. And in fact, some, for example, American tank commanders had a bit of an issue with that when they were issued the 76mm guns, which fired high velocity shields, but again had much less high explosive power. A lot of them were actually quite against that because they preferred the high explosive shells on their 75mm guns. That's a bit of a fun story there as well. And in fact, this is sort of, you know, the initial purpose of the Panzer IV, basically infantry support tank for clearing up positions and such, and then the Panzer III would take on the position or role of dealing with other tanks that of course could still deal with infantry. But not the sort of stuff you hear so much detailed. And of course also why an early Panzer IV is much different from a later Panzer IV due to, again, higher velocity barrel. And also why a Panther's different, because again you have an even higher velocity barrel despite the exact same caliber as this gun. So all little sorts of fun fact. Church getting mortar there. Looks like Popovich is getting ready for another assault. Back to Heinz. 2 mortars out actually. He's setting up a small mortar battery. Fancy that. Shock 2 is moving ahead right up the centre. Immediately coming under fire there from the Befehlspanzer, and the Befehlspanzer is on the hunt. Nasty work there.
Forces are securing our territory.
Going aggressively all across the map. And of course, note the Panzer IV has an aura within the sector which actually provides defensive benefits, including units will receive less damage. It's something a lot of players tend to forget about it seems, so I'd just like to point that out again. I mean, it does have some benefits besides, you know, being actually pretty damn good at shooting infantry up. Which is largely where it ends up getting used basically as a regular Panzer IV-E variant. T-34 moving in, coming under fire from the pack if it's not careful. Lots of mines going up here. Even though he's mining here, you might be going, why? Because, you know, he might actually vault over the fence here and move down here. So that's actually some pretty nice advanced thinking there from Popovich. And, oh, Gott im Himmel! A Josef Stalin tank has arrived. And the Befehlspanzer is trying to clear out the pack. Gaining veterans one in the process, lovely. But he's a bit damaged here. Got the last remaining straggler. But now things are about to get a bit unpleasant. The tank named after the great comrade himself has moved in. The Panzer IV actually managed to penetrate with the first shot, but smoke, smoke, smoke. Panzer tactician. Pop smoke, mate. He's moving in with a Panzer Faust. No, looks like they decided, you know, they'd rather be alive. Because they might, you know, get wiped out. And there go 50 caliber. The Duschka is up. Gonna his lead to retreat. Conscripts moving in here, going to see if we can't get a pack in return for the one lost. Clever little bastards. Also note here, Heinz is slowly beginning to run out of infantry. He actually needs to be a bit careful about that. And that Panzer IV is in dire need of repairs. But the Soviet army is on the march. And it intends to kill. Obviously. And actually noting he's teching up. Looks like he's not going to bother with support arm carriers. Instead going on for the heavy Panzer Corps and likely Panzer to deal with this. Pack turning out incendiary artillery going in. Doesn't succeed. And veterans who on the Panzer at the Kanone. Good job there. Getting the IS-2 down to half health. Minesweep punish run off.
How can we help?
Things are definitely getting a bit dangerous here for Heinz. Now with some very heavy Soviet armor out.
This is now German territory.
Even noting here, mines very aggressively laid ahead by Popovich. Lovely. Nice rifle grenade there. And now we're actually seeing that the Kanonen focus weapon gun is being made available. All a bit quiet. Panzer IV being repaired up. It is ready once more to take on the Soviet foe. IS-2 note, he's actually being pulled back and made a more reserved position. The T-34 is also Both tanks are awaiting repairs. Bit of a problem seems for Popovich to keep his tanks in working order. And again, there we go. Exactly what was predictable happened. That is, you know, he bolted over because, you know, this is an obvious mining spot. So a lot of players will think, well, I just need to bolt over. And our friend here had thought ahead of that. So, well played there by Popovich. Well played.
Enemy forces are securing our territory.
Definitely the mark of an advanced veteran player.
You need something? Kill us and more will follow.
They've secured the sector.
Ready for orders.
Panzer forming in to engage the infantry, and the infantry will be a bit in trouble against that Panzer IV. If it could hit. There we go. Getting another kill. Wunderbar. And there we go. Heavy Panzer Corps is up. We will likely see that Panzerkampfwagen 5th, the Panther Panzer. There we go. Nice cruising repairs. T-34 still forgotten. Unloved. Unwanted. Possibly because it seems to be on fire. Hey guys, don't forget about us in here.
The enemy is taking our territory.
And there we go, moving on again, thinking, well, that's not a mine this time around, yeah. Phew, it would have been embarrassing if there was one. Yeah, and painful.
What do you need?
Would have been nice if we actually sort of tried to anticipate the movement of the shock troops and then lobbed a mine or rifle grenade at him, saying off. Instead, he got one shock troop on the retreating move. I assume, oh, catching the mortar. Oh dear, and the packs are pointing in the wrong direction. Otherwise, you could have tried with a target weak point shot here. Always a good option, but too late. Heinz was too banked on actually anything arriving from there. Bit of a shame at the same time. Larger shot going in shock troop for catching on fire quite viciously. Mines from the crew moving in, and field gun in an awkward position. It's thinking the enemy's coming from there. Instead, it's coming right behind. Or perhaps we're just trying to bombard. This is definitely not the sort of situation you want your anti-tank gun in, or field gun, whatever. There we go, getting burned alive. And of course, the cons about that. There we go. The crew is most assuredly dead. Maximum ready to deal with a counter-attack, but probably not from our Panzer. Panther's ready. IS-2 is on the move. Panther probably should move down. He should expect this to be a certain engagement. And I would also imagine he's got the infantry to crew that field gun and quickly prepare it again for the Soviet advance. Instead, oh! IS-2 got the pioneers. But we do see a telemine right here. A telemine. Good thinking ahead. Oh, IS-2 drives around it because it's more occupied with the pioneers, crashes through something else instead. I would suggest some smoke, and the Panther really should move in as soon as possible. Smoke, Nebel. Oh, come on. Why didn't you pop smoke? You got something against it. Main gun destroyed. IS-2 is in a bit of trouble. Lots of pioneers moving in. Canadians fighting nearby. Why were they not, for example, in support? Bit of an odd move here. And there we go. The Panzer IV command tank was lost. Might not have been saved, but you know, there would have certainly been a higher chance of actually saving it with if he'd popped smoke. And there we go. Field gun recruit. He should have had the grenades up to support. Oh, there we go. Panzer Faust and telemine went off. Panther holding back. Looks like the mortar guard infantry unit up here. Needs to quickly enforce as much as possible. If he can just roll in that Panther from another angle, I mean, he should just basically take it up here, go here, get up here, and then he can easily get the kill on the IS-2. Instead, he seems intent on keeping it here. Oh. And he's moving in his packs. Dangerous work there, and we're actually seeing very aggressive play here with the field gun. In fact, we're realizing he's realizing he needs to pull back the pack crew. Careful, Heinz, you're being risky with the wrong units when you probably should be doing it with your Panther. And again, all you need is a simple detour around here. Now the field gun crew is dead. Does he sense this and roll in? And scheisse. IS-2 is on the way. A second one. capitalizing on the amount of damage his first one has done, and certainly all the attention is attracting. Even you get to capture a point! Good lord, this Popovich is a machine of the Soviet kind. And we're seeing every reconnaissance trying to get an idea of the situation. Good job there, good thinking, you know. I don't want to send in one of my guys. Hey, Luftwaffe, do something. Tag. Oh, good lord, the purpose of the IS-2 shows itself, blowing up packs as well. Certainly it was meant to blow through hard points, shoot them to bits, and again, a pack would have been a nice first time. Oh, second pack down! Bad news. But time for the mid-game analysis. Current situation is that Heinz is a bit on the back foot here. The 10th Panzer Division has already lost one of its Panzers. It's got one Panther out. It's got a bit of lack of infantry, though it has plenty of pioneers. But again, a bit on the back foot. We are seeing that most of the map is currently in the hands of his dreaded Soviet foe, Popovich, who's actually got some fuel caches up as well. Lovely. In fact, several fuel caches. I mean, this is clearly a man who knew what he wanted. And it was not an ice cream van. It was the dreaded IS-2. So he went for as many fuel caches along the way, using his T-34 to basically keep manpower losses down, basically playing a bit conservative, but still aggressively trying to go for all the weak spots, keep his opponent off guard, keep him moving, keep him a bit unsure of things, and then basically investing so much resources to basically go for the heavy armor in such an aggressive manner. That is definitely something interesting, and I didn't even notice it. That's actually quite incredible. So already there, we're clearly seeing some advanced thinking going on here from Popovich. But for Heinz, I mean, another Panther probably should be on the horizon soon, because that's definitely going to be one of his better options currently of actually handling all of these IS-2s. He probably also should consider looking into gaining back some of the equipment he's lost the opponent. A pack up here, the field going down, having a rush away the Russians. I mean, he should basically just be grabbing as much enemy equipment to turn against his opponent as soon as possible. That would definitely be one priority, get some more Panthers. I would also suggest perhaps trying something up for this. It might actually have a nice effect in larger armoured engagement versus the IS-2s, because clearly Popovich here is going to be wielding these like a very large mallet and basically hammer his way through his opponent's lines. So again, if you can focus much fire in many ways as possible, I mean, that's good. More tiller mines, though, could also be an option. Again, basically mining every vital junction and being ready to rush in the Panthers with a great speed, ambush any units, quickly clear out the vehicle that was essentially disabled. First take that out, then take out the rest, which is then trying to escape. That could probably also be a nice tactic here and overall strategy for Heinz against Popovich. Again, another infantry squad would also prove vital. For Popovich, on the other hand, I mean, he's taking some serious infantry losses. On the other hand, he's got quite the armoured force, although this IS-2's probably not got long to live in this world. He's also got his T-34, which seems to be finally getting repaired. Hoorah! He could probably do with another infantry squad at the very least, but otherwise, I mean, he's clearly going to lay the most emphasis on the IS-2s. And certainly, I mean, he's just going to then have to actually play them cautiously, play safely. If he spots any field guns, anti-tank guns, whatever, quickly pop in some incendiary artillery barrel just to quickly clear out the enemy anti-tank positions. Otherwise, try not to expose any flanks, play it quiet, safely, and otherwise, aggressively, though he mustn't allow his opponent too much time to actually gain composure and launch in a massive armoured assault, because if those Panthers catch his IS-2s off guard, it's going to be good night, Ivan. So let us return to the fight. Panther here pulling back. Clearly Heinz here is a bit worried about what's going on. Maxim dealing with the grenadiers. Nice rifle grenade. Almost got the bastards. And the IS-2 actually got it with the Dushka. Oh, Popovich, you bastard. Don't know where it went down though. No idea at all. Oh well. Still, there's a pack there just right for the taking. There they go. Panther blitzing in. Going to see if he can't catch the IS-2. Shots missing or bouncing off. And there we go. IS-2 down. The other one is all heavily wounded. Why are you pulling back? Why are you pulling back? You probably could have gotten that one, Heinz. Don't be a scaredy cat. Come on. Chicken. I mean, how dreadful. But I mean, with an IS-2 half health, a Panther veterans who won, which could easily move towards that. I rather think, you know, he made the wrong decision on this. He was actually seriously worried about mines and image. Of course, I can understand it, but even then, I really think he should have tried pursuing the IS-2. And this decision could prove to be one that bites him in the arse. And they go T-34 moving in the north. Is he perhaps making a run for the pack? Then again, with that many men, and of course a T-34 finding where he might be absent. There we go. He can't now take the pack without risking a veteran T-3 squad. And he's actually using tactical movement. Good lord. Rare to see that ability nowadays. And we're seeing a fuel cache going up here from Heinz as well. Will be rushing in the north. Shock trooping in. They might recruit that pack again. Panther is on the move. Noting also here this T-34 is very close to veteran 2. And using it to take points as well. Assault going in here, but encountering a very unfortunate kind of resistance and quickly getting repulsed by high explosive shells there from the IS-2. Another kill for Comrade Stalin. There was something called the IS-1, but that never really saw any serious action, just a few minor engagements. Is basically, I think, this kind of chassis with an 85mm gun. Instead, they basically went for the KD-85 as a more proper interim solution until they got out this tank. And they, in fact, also had a gun considered which is actually much more effective against tanks, a 100mm anti-tank gun, but they, again, Russian doctrine rather favoured, you know, tanks being able to blow up positions and infantry, less so tanks, and thus they opted for this gun, which, you know, still had power but also quite slow in firing, due to the fact that the shell and the propellant were two separate things, which actually makes firing rather slow. So little fun fact there. Little fun fact there. Conscripts moving down south. And that 100mm anti-tank was basically mounted on the Su-85 chassis, creating the Su-100. And then, of course, they also had more independent anti-tankers called the BA-3, or BA-100, something like that. And then got another Telemine off. I mean, the Telemines are basically paying off, but Heinz, in several cases, don't quite have the opportunity to pursue the advantage created from it. And I think he's going to get very close to another IS-2 soon. Again, all these fuel caches are slowly paying off.
Machine gun ready.
Panther moving ahead, lots of infantry pack providing support as well, creating a nice deterrent there to the Panzerkampfwagen 5.
The enemy is encroaching on our territory.
Conscripts on the run, getting outflanked there and crushed.
Enemy contact.
Of course, the Germans, while still wanting their tanks to deal with infantry, put less concern on high explosive shells and still opted for high velocity guns like this on the Panther. Of course, they also tended to mount a lot more machine guns to deal with infantry. On the other hand, I mean, there's again whole coaxial and then of course a pintle mounted as an option as well.
The enemy has taken our supply sector.
And we got a second Panther arriving.
We have it.
He might have a chance here if he actually takes the route here, because again his opponents are getting a head-on assault, but a flanking assault from the Panthers could prove quite devastating, but so far that seems to be not within Heinz's plans. And there go one hit from the IS-2, and we're seeing the Panther being pulled back a bit. Perhaps he's hoping to lure them out in the open. Doesn't seem like he actually finished the fuel cache, apparently. Panther moving ahead there. IS-2, and a unit wiped out. Looks like the gun it is. Careful, careful. You're losing too much veteran infantry. Also clear intent here on the victory points. He's perhaps going for the victory through the victory points, realizing perhaps in the longer run he's going to have trouble against the increasing amount of Soviet heavy armor.
Heavy tanks standing by.
Very increasing amount of heavy Soviet armor.
Losing supplies to the
Minesweepers
enemy.
again, good job. They're really good thinking. I mean, a lot of players tend to not think about it, in particular a lot of German players have very lately been lazy about it, but now again it seems like in the final this is going through. And go, heavy armored assault pack following up. Splitting up the tanks is a bit of dangerous work, although on one hand he might actually be able to, you know, ambush the other tanks, hit them in the rear. T-34, Veteran 2, flamethrower in the house, burning away at the comm engineer. Panther needs to pull back, blitzing back, popping smoke could be an idea. Again, Nebel, moving the other Panther, hit them from the rear, Heinz. Catch them between two. Currently their sort of formation right here would make it very dangerous if, you know, they got caught between several armoured forces. And there you go, Panther is moving in. Oh, he's hoping to lure them in. Yes, indeed. Engine damage. There we go, things are dangerous. Move in the Panther, move in the Panthers. And remember, the Panther has greater range, so if he, for example, pops, you know, some reconnaissance right now, he can easily get off some shots from a safe distance. Oh, Panther misses. What are you doing, Friedrich? Get that T-34 if you can, but so far he's playing extremely cautiously. All of a sudden seems like Heinz has lost his nerve a bit, and that might actually end up allowing the Soviets to pull back their tanks without any losses. I mean, that T-34 could have been down right now. Grenadiers or Pioneers actually trying to outflank instead. The Maxim caught them, but the Grenadiers somehow retreated. Oh, well, that's a lot of things going on.
Enemy forces are attempting to capture our territory.
Panther is receiving repairs. Veteran 2 Pioneers, by the way, doing the job. They seem to be in Veteran 2 free. Have they again begun, you know, giving experience from their minds? Because there was a period where they actually didn't get that, but then apparently now they do. That's really the only thing I can imagine that explains all of a sudden this guy with a minesweeper. Don't wait, he's got the flamethrower. Never mind me, I'm apparently not paying attention, though these guys do have it. A minesweeper and Veteran 2. Oh well. Bit weird to see. Either way, though, I mean, having Veteran 2 Pioneers does really give you some fast repair speed, and the Veteran 2 even faster. There you go, that Panther will quickly be back in the fight. But again, right here, I mean, I don't think that was the best engagement there. Heinz, I mean, clearly, I mean, not a complete idiot when it comes to tanks, so I think was a bit too, how should one put it?
Yes, comrade?
Cautious. He was too prudent right here. He lacked some of that Panzer spirit, you know, just trying to, you know, get some weak targets off. I mean, currently we've got two tanks here in a desperate situation. He could easily have gotten one of them even before they got him, and the T-34 would easily, had he just kept the Panther bound for a bit longer, and then afterwards he could easily have picked off the IS-2. Right here, he might end up giving Popovich the time and, you know, basically the resources he needs to get back in the fight. But this sniper up here, he's got another sniper. Careful. I mean, it's definitely getting very interesting now. In fact, we're seeing a third Panther being added. This is clearly growing into a very, very large armoured battle right here on Holotny Farmer. Looks like more air recons again, going to keep an idea of what his opponent is doing in the area. 3 Panthers, one which might be in fact very close to Veteran 2. And go T-34 coming under fire, roll in with all the tanks, come on, don't. What is he doing? What is he doing? What is he doing? Is he worried about the power? I mean, I suppose you can understand that, but even then he should have at least sent in one more Panther. Instead, he's allowing again the tanks, you know, to get out of there. He can easily have one, all Panthers roll in there, get off at least one barrage, then take out the T-34 or the IS-2.
What do you need?
Careful, Heinz, careful. Again, you're, I think, getting too overcautious. And go stunned again, but again, you know, no penetrating shot. T-34, oh, escapes again! He's definitely handling his tanks quite well, and now we're actually seeing an opening here being opened up. If he flanks him with that Panther right now, he could do some serious damage to the IS-2s instead. He's moving in from the front. Flank, man, flank! Veteran 2, increasing armor and, you know, giving it a faster marine turret. It would really be excellent now to rush in here with a blitzkrieg, get behind the tanks and wipe them out. And now note, this IS-2, which was previously so close to destruction, has actually been allowed to be repaired.
You guys, this enemy is taking our territory.
And a Pioneer squad, but oh, he lost the Veterans in 3 Pioneers. He's trying to focus down the more veteran IS-2. Machine guns are blaring into the combat and he is killing them. Some of them anyways. And we're seeing incendiary artillery going in, but still, there's a chance here. Blitz in the Panthers. Blitz in the Panthers. Blitzkrieg. This is the very thing Blitzkrieg was made for. Heinz, do not disappoint Deutschland. And now, he's actually allowing the IS-2 to escape. Again, I can't help but feel that Heinz is all of a sudden, he's played very aggressive, all of a sudden now he's gotten very nervous, very passive. Something seems to have rattled him considerably. And I'm not entirely sure what it is. It's actually a bit confusing. Because he's clearly not an idiot.
You need something?
But it seems like there's something making him overthink things a bit too much and not really committing properly to his attacks initially. Could prove to be his undoing, but still now he's got a considerable armoured force, several veteran Panthers, including one veteran too, and he's augmenting that with a Befehlspanzer forward again. If he fights defensively with them, they're going to be really tough to deal with. Oh, mine went off. That's not good. We're seeing IS-2's been pulled back here for repairs. This one, by the way, close to veteran 2 and gaining range and increased accuracy, which is really dangerous, by the way.
This territory is now
These Canadians need to retreat.
Germany now holds the victory point. Done.
A third IS-2, good lord. I mean, nothing's really changed with the IS-2 besides its veterans, but still, I mean, it's quite fascinating to see just how the metagame has changed in some direct arts and how people's perception of units actually changed. All of a sudden now we're actually seeing lots of heavy armour of this kind. I mean, this is pretty rare, but still pretty exciting to see how this will actually work out. And actually, I mean, clearly, Heinz is worried about it. He's actually, very worried about all these IS-2s, which of course is quite reasonable, but even when they're heavily damaged, he's concerned, and it might be all the mines, of course. He's unsure of where he can actually attack and move.
Enemy armor spotted.
But at the same time, that kind of fear can end up paralyzing you and actually end up working to your opponent's favour, because all of a sudden you're not taking chances, and that when you're not taking chances, you're actually allowing your opponent some cases to take chances to get out of situations that are not looking good, like this one with all the damaged IS-2s and even the T-34. I mean, he was actually able to escape with his T-34. I mean, this T-34's actually lived surprisingly long, due again to Heinz, being a bit too worried, a bit too passive, a bit too uncertain of things. Uncertainty can be absolutely dangerous in a game, in particular as things get more higher skilled and you get more aggressive players and more cunning players and more cold-blooded players. And clearly Popovich is the really cold-blooded kind of player, the one who really has absolutely no qualms about anything. I mean, as we saw in the initial few minutes of the game, I mean, this is a man with some serious testicles. No, don't. He sends in the T-Panther with the least armor first. He should have sent the Veteran T-2-1 in first, but at least he's flanking. He's flanking. Good. The Panther there providing bonuses for them. So again, he should keep in the right sector. There we go. Panther advancing one, taking heavy damage. Veteran T-2, but don't expose the rear. Don't expose the rear. At least hop smoke in the street. Hop smoke. Smoke. Nebel. Panther flanks in. And it's just abandoned. Smoke! Come on! Why aren't you using smoke? Blitzing in. And he was actually trying to repair. Why didn't we pull him back? Seems like Heinz is all of a sudden committing major mistakes. Oh! It got the main gun by ramming it! Popovich, you bastard! I mean, that took some serious balls to use his T-34 to ram a Panther from the front. But he did it, and he succeeded. Panther here forced away. Other one very close to Veterans' fleet, but again, he can't do anything without its main gun. Lots of pioneers have been called in, but he'd rather need another Panther or a pack. This is just a disaster right now for Heinz. And note, Veteran is on this fiend, increasing its accuracy by quite a bit. A pack is on the way. Ground is being lost all across, but note though, big 2 points are very low again. It seems like again, you know, Heinz here was going for a very defensive kind of play. Pioneers here trying to repair the Panther, but they're taking serious losses to the IS-2's high explosive shells as they're doing it. Veteran in 3T-34 moving in. Oh, lordy lord. And go, the pack has finally arrived. The Panther is just shrugging, trying his best to shrug off. But even, of course, that won't help in the long run. Since basically, just for this, it gets a bit more armor than a Tiger. But it still doesn't, for example, have the same health as the Tiger. IS-2's just blowing up everything. And just look at the massive amount of damage it's just having thanks to all of these IS-2s, but also the botched engagement right there from Heinz. I mean, he clearly had a hand in this. Now going out, the IS-2 was only abandoned, now it's getting repaired and put together. Oh dear, this is a disaster. I'm not entirely sure he might be able to recover this. There's a small chance, particularly the Veterans with 3 Panther, of course, which will fire faster and thus he's able to get out some more out of it. But again, I can't help but feel he should have been saving up for this one, then unleashed on this engagement as well. That might have worked, then again, might also got shot down by the IS-2s, but still it would have been a better attempt. And now this one, oh, Pack got off a nice hit. And there we go, behind the base, the Stuka crashed down, another loss for the Luftwaffe. Getting close to calling in another Panther, I suspect. Veteran 2, lovely, but he probably should have fired a target weak point as the T-34 was advancing on it. Instead, he's going to lose that pack crew, unfortunately. Still doing his best to repair that Panther. But of course, I mean, Popovich is taking the time and he's just calling in more IS-2s while he can. I mean, he's barely got any infantry, but the Western Soviets, of course, he can slightly get away with it thanks to the Veteran's ability, so he can just pick points with them if he needs. But I mean, clearly both players have to a certain extent worn each other out. I mean, it's not like Heinz, you know, been playing completely hopelessly. It's just more his, how should we say, attitude to the battle has ultimately hurt him. There we go, Veteran is being on the Panther, increasing rate of fire, and also making more mobile. T-34 moving in, quickly blitzing away, trying to ram. But obviously not succeeding. In fact, right there, an easy target. Looks like the end for the T-34 is finally here. After so much damage, the T-34 is finally blown to bits.
Targeting enemy tank.
There we go, getting off some nice hits. More air reconnaissance. The pack, by the way, got wrecked. He might be able to get the IS-2, but no. Other one moves ahead, he pulls on with the IS-2 that is damaged behind the other tanks, at least behind the house. Good armor tactics there, by the way. Doing his best to obfuscate the easier targets. Though there he's actually leaving an opening, but no. Heinz does not see it. Again, the passiveness of Heinz is allowing Popovich here to get away with a lot of things. Back to Ponich. Oh, he got it. He got the one that was not looking too good. He's trying to bait in the IS-2 slowly but surely. Noting here, this one, by the way, is close to Veterans fleet. Can the Panther get it?
The enemy is down.
Oh, it keeps missing. There we go, one hit. IS-2s are moving in. Lots, and now they'll... Oh, all of them penetrate. Very bad news. And there we go. Panther down. Panther down. And game over. A loss for Germany, a loss for the 10th Panzer Division. Numerous Panthers lost, numerous veteran Panther crews lost. Anti-tank guns and whatnot. I mean, this was a very bloody, very brutal battle again. Both sides were pretty close to either winning or losing. But ultimately, the main problem here for Heinz, though, was basically he was... Again, the best word I can determine, again, this is just from viewing him play. I don't actually, have something to view his very soul, his very essence with. But again, from the way he played, he seemed like a slightly nervous player. At a certain juncture, he suddenly lost his nerve and not completely, didn't panic, but, clearly he began playing extremely conservatively. He didn't take any chances. He refused to take any chances. And that... ultimately, though, is what worked out for Pwnagemachine, or Popovich, there again, because, again, Pwnage just sounds like, you took one blunt strike to your head when you were younger, too many. But no, I mean, this was clearly a case of, balls over, prudence. I mean, basically, what allowed Popovich to win this game was sheer, courage, just the way to just consistently push aggressively, to bluff, to basically just, he played, without a care. He didn't, necessarily... I mean, he cared, obviously, but not in the same way. He'd just say, well, I probably shouldn't do this. Just, well, there's a chance this might happen, but there's a chance this might happen. If that happens, that's really great for me. And then he did it. And, because, again, his opponent was playing conservatively again, then, what the other bit he was worried about wouldn't happen because, that required his opponent to play aggressively. But it didn't happen. Several times, Heinz did have the chance to really punish Popovich, but again, because he was playing conservatively, he failed to grasp. And again, attitude matters so much in the game, and this game is, really a great example of that. Attitude matters. How you perceive the game also determines how you perceive an option. And again, from his perspective, easily one of those chances could have been absolutely terrible. And again, so he didn't trust it. But again, on the other hand, we have Popovich here with a much more aggressive, much more opportunistic attitude, and again, it worked out greatly for him because he was not afraid to take a chance. Of course, sometimes they don't work out because, again, your opponent also goes something, but again, against a very conservative player, you can all of a sudden do a lot of stuff in you which you otherwise might not be able to do so. Also, I mean, very interesting play here with the IS-2s. This is, I think, the first time I've seen this is in 1 versus 1 where really, the player just goes all in with the IS-2s, and certainly I hope I might see some more of this in the future. Hopefully some people get some ideas. Also, I mean, and again, Heinz, played very nicely with his armor, sometimes made some really great flanks, but again, there were so many times where he could easily have flanked and won the game, but he didn't. Also, nice mining, nice for both players, nice use of minesweepers, nice infantry play, but Heinz simply bled out a bit too fast as well, then he might have benefited a bit earlier from an MG42. So overall, I mean, really exciting game, really fun. Also, again, many great things to see. And again, massive armoured engagements there by the end. But ultimately, again, what won the game for Popovich was a better handling of armour. Because, again, all of a sudden, you're right there. I mean, it might have been some misclicks. But again, he's sending the least armoured first. And again, failed to really properly persecute. While again, Popovich played a lot more confidently and a lot more securely. You could see, there was less mistakes with his IS-2s. I mean, he didn't sleep up and, oh, right, that one wasn't supposed to go there. No, it was just, I move for combat starting, I crush, and so on, so on. So, well played there. Hope you really enjoyed this. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers and mind your attitude.